When you first become president, one of the questions that people ask you is, what's really going on at Area 51? I think I just became the first president to ever publicly mention Area 51.
I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
I had people go look at the records on Area 51 to make sure there was no alien down there. I had all the Roswell papers reviewed, everything.
If you saw that there were aliens there, would you tell us?
Yeah.
You would?
I mean, if there's some huge national security thing and I can't get agreement to open them, I won't. But I do want to open them because I'm interested.
Do you believe?
I don't know. But there are enough stories out there that I don't think everybody is just sitting, in their kitchen making them up. I think that people see things. What they see, I don't know.
That certain morning, I happened to look over into the sky to the northeast, and I seen a very, very bright light up there, like a very bright star. And then I said, well, that's moving. And I just stood there and watched it as what it was doing, and it was just coming down out of the sky real slow, and no noise, just quiet, and I couldn't see no wings or nothing, just floating right through the midair up there. And I thought, well, if I don't tell nobody that I seen something go over town tonight, nobody will believe me tomorrow.
Hey guys, what's up? Appreciate y'all hanging out with me tonight. Special midweek show, Wednesday night, Paranormal Odyssey Live. Yeah, I'm excited to get this one going tonight, guys. We had Al on the show this past Friday, and just one of the better episodes that we've had in a really long time, and he wasn't able to get it all done in an hour, so he graciously has set it up to come back tonight. He is backstage and ready to go, and I'm excited to get going. But before we do, let's do all this good stuff. Guys, if you haven't done so already, hit that subscribe button. Sure would appreciate it. If you have had an encounter and would like to come on and discuss it with me, UFO related, ghost related, certainly big guy, Sasquatch, Dogman, any kind of cryptid. If you'd like to come on and share your encounter with me, shoot me an email. Get me at wayne@paranormalworldproductions.com. Also, guys, as you know, I am the founder and president of Manimal Research. We have the Manimal Research Facebook group. I want to ask everyone to come over and become a member there. If you don't mind, sure would appreciate it. Again, guys, got Mr. Al Santoriga back on. If you guys have any questions for Al tonight, feel free to shoot them to him. He is expecting them. If you do, though, please put those in all caps. This makes it a little bit easier for me to see doing this by myself now. Sometimes I do miss them, and I apologize. It's not on purpose. If I do miss a question, goes by a little bit of time and I don't ask it, type it again. Just make sure you do it in all caps, and we will make sure that it get to him. All right, guys. Also, check out our website, paranormalworldproductions.com. You can check out all 3 shows over there: Sasquatch Odyssey, Paranormal Odyssey, and True Crime Odyssey. Yeah, head over there and check that out. All right, guys. Like I was saying, had a really, really good show Friday night, and I'm excited to get Al back. He is backstage, and he was telling me briefly before we came on, before we went live, telling me about an investigation that he and his team conducted a little while back, and he was only able to tell me a little bit, but he had me on the edge of my seat, so I think we're going to lead off with that one. If you guys are ready, I am ready. Al is ready, so let's get going.
Hi, Wayne. Hi, Wayne. Thank you for having me back so soon.
Yeah, man, I appreciate you fitting it in this quickly. Not everybody can, but thank you for doing that.
Well, but the pleasure is all mine. I'm be more than happy to, come back anytime you want. You haven't even heard about my alien abduction experiences, so you just hit the tip of the iceberg. But tonight, I want to talk about something. I'm sure some of your listeners have probably already heard this experience, but it may be new to some other folks as well. 2015, team and I went out to a place called Nuclear Lake. And the reason it's called Nuclear Lake is because they used to mine weapons grade material, uranium there. And they refined it on the lake. And at some point, there was an explosion and all the uranium went into the lake. And the federal government went in and supposedly cleaned it up. It is considered a federal park. The Appalachian Trail runs through it. There's no signs for it. It's not like any park you ever seen. There's no benches. There's no bathrooms. There's no nothing. It's just woods. And but they do have a ranger station at the entrance that's monitored 24/7. There's always a ranger in there. You can't be in there after dark. So when we go to this location for any kind of investigation, we get in during the daylight hours. And we go in and we do a day-night investigation. And I was there a couple of times with my couple of friends of mine, and we found all kinds of stuff there. And one investigation, we found these 3 quartz crystal stones set up like a pyramid, and we thought, okay, this is where we'll start our Halloween investigation. We'll start it here, and then we'll work our way back to the car. There was 3 locations that night. There was the pyramid site. There was a meadow that was opened up to the Appalachian Trail. And then there was a campsite along the lake where the Sasquatches have, come in, and people camping there have had Bigfoot experiences. So we work our way back 3-4 miles back into the woods, and we're doing experiments. And my partner Brian, he had a quartz crystal skull, clear crystal skull, and I had a rose quartz crystal, and we were trying to see if we can get the rose quartz crystal or the clear quartz to generate energy from one crystal to the other on these 3 quartz crystal stones, and we were filming it. We were filming in thermal. We were filming in IR. We were filming in full spectrum. We were filming in low light. And at one point, we called our psychic up. She's in Arkansas. She does everything over the phone. She reads it through me. She says, I'm a conduit. And I said, okay, what are we going to see here? And she said, okay, at this location, you're going to see, you're going to have a Bigfoot experience. Okay. And we said, okay, we'll see what happens. So we're sitting there, and after we hang up with her, and I'm filming these quartz crystal stones with the thermal imager, and they're ice cold. They're not, we can't get any kind of transfer of energy. And it's just not, no matter what we do, we can't seem to generate any kind of activity. So I pulled out the Palabok mic, and from above us, we heard like a Morse code coming out of the sky. So everybody got a chance to listen to it, and we're all trying to figure out what it is. And, my camera guy, Bill, says they may be, radio towers sending off a signal. Brian is thinking, well, maybe there's radiation in the trees from the fallout when it had the explosion, and it may be up high, and that's what we're getting, that we're getting the signal from the radiation. And, and I'm a pretty simple guy, kind of keep everything black and white. And I said, or maybe there's a UFO above us that we can't see that's communicating with us, and we just don't know it, And everybody got a laugh out of it. We all laughed. And so I said, okay, look, let's ramp up this energy. Let's see what we can do here. So we broke out a Tibetan singing bowl, okay? And we fill the woods with frequency and vibration. And it just kept going and going and going until this vibration and frequency was just bouncing off everything in the woods. And it was unbelievable. And at that point, you could feel the energy in the woods change. everything changed. And I'm filming the quartz crystal stones now again with the thermal imager, and they're white hot. And I'm telling Brian, touch the stone. Tell me if they're hot. They're coming out white hot on this. He goes, I'm not touching those stones. I go, Brian, you got to touch the stones. We got to know if it's actually generating heat, you know? He goes, I'm not touching the stones. So I said, here, you hold the camera. I'll touch the stones. So I touched the stones. They were ice cold to the touch, but on the thermal imager, they were red. They were white hot. So then we called our psychic again, and we said, hey, listen, you know, we did some experiments, and we want to know what you're feeling. And she couldn't talk. She said she felt like she had cerebral palsy. She couldn't talk. We had to move away like 100 yards for her to actually be able to talk, because the energy had ramped up so much it was affecting her. And she's like, what did you guys do? And I said, well, you know, we hit the area with a Tibetan singing bowl, and we filled the woods up with frequency and vibration. And she goes, oh my God, Al. She goes, I don't know, you know, you've really, you know, you've opened up Pandora's box. You know, I don't know what to tell you, man. What you did was crazy. And I said, okay, well, you know, I said, are we still going to see a Bigfoot? She goes, you're going to see Bigfoot. You're going to see all kinds of creatures tonight. She goes, let me know how it goes. Okay, so we're sitting there, and now I got the parabolic mic going again, and I hear, and now it's getting dark. It's getting dark now. We've been in the woods for about 3 or 4 hours. It's getting dark, and like I said, it was Hallows Eve. It was a meteor shower going on. It's getting dark, and on the ridge line to our west, we can hear the coyotes going off to the full moon. They're just going crazy. And to the east of us, there was a dog kennel, and the dogs were barking at the coyotes who were howling at the moon. So we had all this going on, you know, and really none of that happened before I hit the Tibetan singing bowl. So anyway, I got the parabolic mic up, and I hear what sounds like bipedal footsteps coming through the woods, from the west side of the woods coming to our side. We were on the east side. So I'm telling the guys, we all had headlamps on, you know, and I told the guys, shut off your headlamps. I think there's another paranormal team in the woods investigating tonight, because it's Halloween, you know, and who knows who's out in these woods doing God knows what, you know. So I let Brian listen to it, and then he let Bill listen to it, and they both looked at me and they said, are you out of your mind? And I go, what do you mean? And they go, Al, if that's a person walking this way, they're about 1,000 pounds, because the footfalls are so heavy. And I was like, well, I don't know, but you know, that was what was going through my mind, that it was another team out there investigating. So at this point, we're up on a high ridge. There's a stone wall running behind us. Behind the wall is like a little cliff that drops down into a swamp. And, you know, so we're sitting back there, and I said, everybody shut off your headlamps, because we heard this footfall come right up to the swamp, you know, like maybe it's 30 feet below us and 50 feet behind us, right? Something like that. And so we shut off our headlamps, and we hear whoop, 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 3 loud whoops that vibrated our bodies from head to toe. When I tell you, I felt it come up the ridge, up my legs, through my chest, and everybody just looked at each other and like, what was that? I go, I know what that is. That's a Bigfoot. So I do a tree knock, pop, pop, pop. It does a rock knock, rock, rock, rock. Now, the minute this thing whooped, the coyotes shut up and the dogs shut up, and the woods went dead silent. And so I do a rock knock. I do a tree knock. It does a rock knock. And then I do another tree knock, and we're sitting there and we're waiting. It's like, what's going to happen next, you know? And Bill, my camera guy, is a little nervous, and he's like, maybe we should leave. You know, this thing is like right below us in the swamp. And I'm like, no, I don't want to leave it. We just got here. There's no way I'm leaving this. This night is just getting started. We're sitting there, and a rock the size of a bowling ball comes up over the ridge, over the top of the trees, straight down into the camp where we're sitting. And it hits in front of me, and it rolls down the hill a little bit and hits Brian's chair. At this point, Brian gets up and says, I think it's time to go. And I was like, no, I'm not ready to go yet. I'm not ready to go. I just feel like there's more to come, and I don't want to miss it. You know what I mean? I get this gut feeling that's telling me, don't leave just yet. This is what you're here for. Now, I really didn't know what we were going to find that night. There's all kinds of history in this location, from ghosts to Bigfoot to UFOs, siphoning out the water from the lake and balls of light coming out of the lake, all kinds of stuff. So we're sitting there and we're waiting to see what's going to happen next. And all of a sudden, about, I would say maybe 20 minutes go by and everything is dead. And all of a sudden we hear what sounds like a quadruped running up the ridge. Bada boom, bada boom, bada boom. Now I'm thinking this is either a black bear coming up the ridge, or it's a mountain lion, it's a cougar, right? And it's coming. And like I said, this is Halloween, so there's tons of foliage on the ground, leaf litter on the ground. There's no leaves on the tree because it was a really cold night. It was like 20 degrees. And we're sitting there. Brian is to my right. I'm in the center. Bill is actually a little bit behind me. He's got his back to the wall. Whatever is running up the ridge is on the other side of that wall. So at some point, I get up. I took my headlamp on. Brian gets up. Bill gets up, and he starts to run because he figures this is going to jump on his back, right? And as he runs by me, and to this day, I don't know how I did it because I never took my eyes off of where the sound was coming from because I wanted to see what was coming over that wall. I thought, honest to God, it was going to be a mountain lion. I was going to have to sacrifice my left arm and kill it with my survival knife because we were in the trees and the machete wouldn't have been any good to me in the trees, you know? And as Bill is running by, I reach out, I grab him, and I spin him around. And I say, stand your ground. Because, you know, you can't outrun these creatures. There's no sense in running. You run, you turn and run, you're prey. You know what I mean? You get their prey drive going. So anyway, we're standing there with our knives out and the machetes out. And this sound comes right up to the wall. And nothing comes over the wall. Now it's pitch black. We can't see anything. We got all the cameras going though, and the cameras are all facing in different directions, you know, because we were rotating them because we wanted to see what would one catch, what would the other one catch, you know. And I had a little Sony camera hanging around my neck, and I picked it up and I took one photo at the wall. Now the back of the camera is so small you can't see anything on it, especially at night. But I took that one picture, I dropped the camera back down, and I turned to the guys. We never heard anything walk back down the ridge. We never heard anything jump off the ridge into the swamp. At one point, we hear a whoop 3 miles away at the other end of the lake. Brian starts saying, oh my God, it's a Bigfoot, and he went through like a dimensional thing, slip, and he's at the other side of the lake. And I'm like, I don't know if the one that was down there is the one across the lake. Because at one point, we heard Bigfoot's howl on all 4 sides of us. But the ones that were to our east, west, and south were far away, like a couple of miles away. So I don't know if that's what happened. But I say, grab the cameras, let's jump over the wall, let's see what's going on. So we grab the cameras, we jump over this little wall, we go to the edge of this cliff, and we're filming, and we don't see anything. Bill has a 1500 luma flashlight that lights up the woods like daytime. We hit that flashlight and we look around through the swamp and through the woods. We're looking for eye shine. We're looking for anything that doesn't look right. We don't see anything.
All right, let me interrupt you just a second there, Al. I've got a question from Carson. He asks, was the Bigfoot summoned by the crystals, or were you all in its home area?
I believe the Bigfoot was summoned by the Tibetan singing bowl. I think the frequency we put out with whatever it's the crown chakra. That's the bowl I use. Whatever frequency that is, I don't remember the frequency offhand, but whatever frequency it is, I think it caught its attention and it came over to see what we were doing. Now, unbeknownst to us, at this point in time, we are directly above a dogman den. We don't know that at this time, right? And what I think, and just one man's opinion, what I think, that Bigfoot knew where we were and that we were in danger, and it came over to try to get us to leave. Because after we developed the picture, and I'll explain this later down the road about the photograph, there was a dog man in the photograph, okay? And I think the Bigfoot was trying to get us out of there, trying to save us, because we were in harm's way. But that's further down in the story. So anyway, whatever this thing is leaves, we never hear it leave. We sit there for like another half hour, and the woods go dead. And I say, okay, guys, let's pack up. Let's go to our location number 2, the meadow, okay? To get to the meadow, you got to cross over some rocky outcrops. I mean, they're really treacherous. The path starts off as a mining road, then it turns into the Appalachian Trail, then it turns into like a goat trail, and it's really dangerous, you know? And so we're walking. So Brian says, we pack up all our gear, and Brian says, you know what? I'm going to leave my low light camera out. I don't want to be that guy that something comes up and I don't have a camera to film it. I said, okay, you leave the camera out hanging around your neck. I got my little camera. But he was using video and I was doing still. And we're walking back across the lake. Now, this particular night, I'm wearing a green moldavite stone, which is supposed to be an alien stone. It's supposed to vibrate at a frequency that attracts aliens, okay? And I wore this because I wanted something to happen that night. I didn't want to spend 12 hours in the wood and not have anything happen. So I figured any little extra, get us, maybe we'll get some luck. As we're crossing over the stones to go to the meadow, I see this silvery disc, like strobe light blinking in the sky, and it's going from west to east. And I say to myself, oh God, please don't let this be a UFO. I don't want these guys to get abducted because of me, because I'm wearing this stone, you know? And I'm saying this in my head, and no sooner did I say that, I think Brian or Bill goes, what's that? And they point to it. And as soon as they point to it, this thing stops. Now it goes from silver to orange to red, and it starts coming towards us, okay? So we had our headlamps on. So it comes right over to us, and we got video of it on YouTube. You can go in and you'll hear us cursing and everything. What the hell is this? And yada, yada, yada. And we're trying to debate, is it a drone? Is it a helicopter? Of course, it was none of those things, because it was setting off an electrical hum. It was a weird kind of hum. It was, but now, so we're sitting there and we're all looking at it and we're all talking about it. Brian's filming. He's got the wherewithal to start filming. He's filming. When this thing, I tell the guys, shut off our headlamps, because I seen it coming our way. So I tell the guys to shut off our headlamps. it comes right up to us, and then it hits us with a floodlight. And we're inside this floodlight, and we're looking up at it, and it's looking down at us. And at one point, I turned to Bill and I go, "Give me a time check." And he goes, 9 o'clock. I said, "Okay." And then I said, "You know what, guys? We should step out of this floodlight because we don't know what it's doing to us." You know what I mean? Is it downloading us? Is it changing our DNA? We don't know. Let's get out of this thing. So we step out of it. It blinks off, and it just, boom, shoots off south. Like in a blink of an eye, it's gone. Boom, it crossed that lake, which is like a 4-mile lake, in a tenth of a second. It was just, boom, gone. So now we look at each other, we discuss it a minute or two, and say, okay, let's get to the second location. We get to the second location, the meadow. We set up in the meadow, and we're sitting there, and we call the psychic again. Now it's about 9:15. So I know we didn't lose any time at that point, because from where we were to where we had to go, it was only going to take us about 15 minutes to get there. So I call the psychic up and I say, "Okay, what are we going to see here at this location?" And she says, "Okay, at this location, totally different energy than the last location. Here you're going to see balls of light, which the Native Americans up here say don't follow because they'll lead you to your demise." Okay. She says, "But these balls of light are fairies." Okay. And she says, "You're going to see shadow figures." Okay. And she says, "You're going to see woodland animals, woodland creatures like, all, I forgot what she called them. Nymphs, right?" And she says, "You're going to see gnomes." Now, I got to be honest with you. I'm a New York guy. And when I hear stuff like this, I can't take it serious. And all three of us are guys from the city, and we're laughing hysterical. Like, what are you smoking that you're talking about fairies, gnomes, and nymphs and all these kind of creatures? Are you out of your mind, you know? And she says, "Listen, this location is like no location. The energy here is like no place I've ever felt in my life." She said, "This energy she says it's a portal." She goes, "And everything is going to come through tonight because of the full moon, because of the meteor shower." Okay. So we're sitting there, and Brian is facing north. I'm facing south. Bill is facing east. And at one point, Bill gets up and he starts filming the meteor shower. Because the meteor shower is just unbelievable at this point, you know. And I'm actually taking pictures of the trees, because I see what looks like 7-foot shadow figures jumping from tree to tree to tree. And not just one or two, but like 6 or 7 shadow figures. And I'm taking pictures of the trees. And I'm telling Brian, "Turn around. Look up at the trees. Are you seeing these shadows jumping around in the trees?" And Brian says, "Bill, come here." And we had rigged the camera that Bill was using with a monitor on it, an extra monitor. And so you had the monitor on the camera, and you had the monitor that we had hooked up to it. Both had SD cards in them. And Brian says, "Bill, come here, film behind Al, because I'm seeing movement behind Al, and I don't know what it is." So he comes over and he's filming. I'm holding the monitor. Brian is over my shoulder. Me and Brian are looking at the big monitor. Bill is looking at the little monitor on the camera. And I swear to God, hand to God, a gnome comes out from behind a tree and runs to another tree. And we all just look at each other like, "Did you see that? What did you see?" Now, all three of us can't be having the same hallucination. You know what I mean? And then another one comes out and runs from one tree to the other tree. So Brian says, "We got to go over there. We got to check this out." So we go over.
Al, real quick before you go on, were you able to get any kind of detail on what these things look like? How do you know what it was?
Because it looked like a garden gnome. Okay.
Wow. How big?
But it was bigger than the little ones you see in the gardens. It was about I would say maybe 2.5 feet tall.
Oh,
But it had the big beard and it had the pointy hat and it looked like a garden gnome.
really?
Real hand to God, I swear to God. I swear to God. I swear on my dead mother's grave. And Bill is giddy as a schoolgirl because he goes, we got SD cards in these cameras and in these monitors. We got this stuff on film. We got it, bro. We got the smoking gun, So we go over and we investigate and we don't see nothing. So on the way in, I was talking to Brian and I said, hey, Brian, do you have your green laser on you tonight? And he says, yeah. So I got my red laser. If we come across any of these balls of light, let's hit them with our lasers. Let's see what happens, And he says, okay, yeah, no problem. So after this thing with the gnomes happened and the things, Bill takes his camera and he's filming the trees where I'm seeing the shadow figures jumping. But on the monitor, this is crazy. On the monitor that we're looking at, the trees looked like it had Christmas ornaments on it. Like there was nothing but these little silver balls all over the trees. These trees didn't even have any leaves on them at this point. And we're trying to figure out what is the camera seeing that we're not seeing with our own two. The camera's not picking up the shadow figures, but it's picking up all these little silver, look like Christmas ornaments. That's the best way to describe it. So at that point, I see two balls of light on the other side of the lake where we had just come from, on the west side, on the east side of the lake. These two balls of light just pop on. They're about the size of baseballs, and they're just sitting there above a bush with no leaves on it, but below a rock, a cliff. And I says to Brian, I said, Bill, get your 1500 lumen flashlight. On 3. Brian, you hit the one on the right. I hit the one on the left. Bill, you light that whole area up with the light. Let's see what happens. Let's see what these things turn into, And on 3, we hit them. And soon as those lasers hit those balls of light, they blinked out and they were gone. There was nothing there. And we didn't experience those things for the rest of the night after that. I don't know what the lasers did to them, but whatever it did, they never came back. And I didn't know what I was expecting, that they were going to turn into like creatures or something, and we'd be able to see with the big flashlight. But that didn't happen. So we're sitting there and we're discussing all the stuff we're hearing. And I'm saying, at 12 o'clock, I want to get to the campsite. Go ahead. You want to say something?
No, I was saying, I think we got Mr. Brian on with us.
Oh, yeah, Brian's here. Yeah. And so at 12 o'clock, I want to get to the campsite and see if we get a Sasquatch coming over there, because we found footprints in the campsite. We couldn't cast them because they were in the lake. They were in the water, and I didn't have anything that could cast underwater. So everybody's like, yeah. And so we're sitting there, and Bill goes back to filming the meteor shower. And we hear what sounds like a family coming down the Appalachian Trail. A mother and a father talking. You can hear them like a murmur kind of sound, people talking. 2 little kids laughing and giggling. Sounds like they're kicking stones or something, maybe skipping. I don't know. That's what it sounds like. So we're 3 large guys sitting in the dark with machetes and knives. So I turned to the guys and I said, listen, let's put our headlamps on. This way, these people will see us when they come out and we don't scare them, because it sounds like they have little kids with them. So we turn our headlamps on and we're all waiting for these people to come out of the Appalachian Trail, off the trail into the meadow. And we hear them come right up to the opening of the trail. No one ever comes out. So we grab Bill. Bill grabs his 1500 lumen flashlight, and we go in. And I said, let's go in. Maybe something happened. I don't know. Maybe something happened. They got attacked by an animal, or one of the kids got hurt. Who knows? So we go in and we walk 100 yards up and down the trail with this giant flashlight, and there's nobody there. There's nobody there. So we go back to the campsite and we call the psychic. And the psychic says, "Why are you calling me so late?" And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And she's like, "It's 11:30 out. Why are you calling me so late?" And I go, "No, we called you at 9:15. It's probably like 9:30. I'm telling her it's 9:30. And she's like, "Look at your watch, Al. It's 11:30. I'm like, "It can't be 11:30. We just got here." And, and now we're all debating, what time is it? Everybody's looking at their watches, because it felt like we were there for 15 minutes. That's what it felt like. She's telling us we've lost 2 hours of time.
Now, what were your watches saying?
Watches were saying what she was saying. It was 11:30. Yeah. But it felt like we were there 15 minutes, And so we're like, well, did we just lose 2 hours of time? So then she goes, "Well, what do you want?" So we explained to her what we just experienced. And she said, "Okay, you guys were in a time-space continuum. And the people you heard are not there tonight. They'll be there tomorrow afternoon." And we're just like, "What are you talking about?" Like, we can't even wrap our minds around what she's telling us, And I got to be brutally honest with you. My psychic takes a lot of ribbon from me and Brian and the guys, because, she's Native American. She's from Arkansas. We're all New Yorkers, and she tells us the craziest things. And it always, at the end we never go in looking for what she's going to do, what she tells us. We just go in to see whatever happens. We never ever think about, "Oh, we're going to see this tonight. Cindy said this." No, we don't think that way. Let's go in. And at the end of the night, she's always right. Always right. The whole night, Bill is going, "I can't believe these woods. These woods are devoid of life. There's no animal life in these woods. There's no skunks. There's no raccoons. There's no squirrels. There's no nothing. Why are these woods so devoid of life?" And he keeps saying devoid of life, And I'm like, I don't know. There should be. There's tons of animal. There's tons of foliage, in the wood. These woods, we're deep in the woods. There should be tons of animal. Nothing. So now the game plan was, before we got there, when we rendezvoused at the parking lot, we were going to go in, we were going to do our experiments. At the end of the night, we were going to go to the diner, grab a cup of coffee, a bite to eat, and go over our notes, see what happens. That was the game plan. We get to the third location, which is the campsite. We set up, and I don't know if it was me or Brian or Bill, somebody mentions, tonight's the night that we have to turn the clocks back. And we're like, "Oh, wow, is that tonight?" And they're like, "Yeah, we have to turn the clocks back tonight." And I'm thinking, well, it's 11:45, because I wanted to be there at 12. And I said, it's 11:45. That means we got to sit here for an hour. We got to sit here for an hour and 15 minutes. If it's really going to be 11, now we got to sit here for another hour and 15 minutes. And we've been in the woods for 12 hours. And the energy of this place is just ridiculous. I mean, it just wears you out. It just wears you out. So I'm like, I don't know, do you guys want to sit here for another hour? And everybody's like, "No, let's get out of here. We'll come back and we'll do this campsite another night, a different, we've been in the woods way too long. We're just all wiped out." Okay. So we're walking back to the car. And at this point, it's maybe a mile and a half away to the ranger station before we get to the road and walk another quarter mile up to our car. And we're all looking at each other. And instead of like going, "Man, can you believe we seen this?" or "Man, could you believe we seen that?" we're all saying to each other, "I can't believe nothing happened tonight. What a crappy night. We spent like 10 hours in the woods tonight and we didn't get anything, which didn't make any sense at all." But the closer we got to civilization, the more animals we seen. We started seeing deers and all kinds of raccoons and skunks and possums and everything like that, the closer we got to civilization, which made no sense. So then we get to our cars. Instead of going to the diner and grabbing a cup of coffee and a bite to eat, everybody gets in their cars and they go separate ways. Everybody goes home. We go home. Brian calls me first thing in the morning and he says, "How you feel?" And I said, "I don't know. I definitely feel a little off, you know. I feel like I've been drained." He goes, "I woke up this morning, I'm spitting blue phlegm." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" He goes, "I don't know, I'm spitting blue phlegm." And he goes, and then his daughter, got a little daughter, she's adorable. She comes over and she says, "Daddy, you have a child's handprint on your chest." And he goes, "What do you mean?" He looks in the mirror and he's got this looks like a little kid's handprint, black and blue on his chest, but it's in the shape of a handprint. So he's like, "What happened to us last night?" I was like, "I don't know." He goes, "How do you feel?" I said, "Besides feeling loopy, I got a fat lip. I feel like I got something implanted in my lip. I mean, it's really hard." And I'm like, and I know none of us went down. Nobody got injured that night. It was a safe night. You know, we took our time going from location to location. So Brian says, "Let's call Bill. Let's get him on a conference call." So he calls Bill and we said, "Anything happened to you last night when you got home?" And he says, "I had night terrors all night of being abducted by aliens." He said, "I had night terrors all night and I got a bump on the back of my head like somebody hit me with a club." So we're like, "What's going on?" No, none of us got hurt that night. So we call Cindy in Arkansas, the psychic. And I said, "Hey, Cindy, what's going on? This is what's going on with all of us." And she says, "Well, I don't know about you guys, but this morning I woke up and my right arm, the arm she uses to talk on the phone, from my wrist to my elbow, I have a rash. I don't know where that rash came from. I didn't have a rash last night when I was talking to you guys on the phone at 11:30. So we don't know what happened to us." I went to work the next day and I was able to function, but I had to stay laser focused for 3 days straight. Otherwise, I'm a mailman by trade. I would have misdelivered everybody's packages because that's what I do. I'm a package parcel guy, right? I deliver parcels. So I had to focus at every single stop to make sure I was delivering the right pack, because for 3 days I was loopy, just loopy for 3 days. And she said that night, because of the full moon and the meteor shower, that the veil was very thin and the energies came through, and we just experienced so much stuff that, you know, it just overwhelmed our bodies, you know, and the energy just really just made us all loopy for like 3 days. It was crazy.
Now, I know you said at the beginning that this area that you went to is known for a little bit of everything: ghosts, UFO, Bigfoot, Dogman. What were you guys specifically going to investigate?
We were going to we started out. I had been there twice before. The first time I went, I found a 175-pound buck up in a tree, and the tree looked like a fireman's pole. Okay, there was no branches to it. It went up 60 feet and then it forked. And there was a 175-pound buck over the fork. Whatever went up that tree went up, shimmied up that tree. Okay, and then when we were deeper in the back of the woods, I found little stone cairns up on cliffs. And it freaked me out. I felt like I was like the Blair Witch Project, right? So I thought we would find more paranormal experiences than cryptid or woodland creatures. You know what I mean? I really like gnomes and fairies and stuff like that weren't even a thought in my mind. I was going to see, because I figured the veil would be thin that night. And I just thought that we would be able to connect with maybe, you know, ghosts or stuff like that. Maybe we would get a Bigfoot come into camp, because I heard stories from a neighbor of mine who was coon hunting there, and he got chased out by a 7-foot Sasquatch at the campsite. Chased him and his dogs out. You know those red bone hounds, they're big dogs. They're not really afraid of much. And both of his dogs ran back to the truck without him, and hid underneath the truck. So I knew the Bigfoots were there. I've read stories about them being people camping out off of the Appalachian Trail and having them come into their camp. I knew they went into this campsite on the lake. We found footprints there. So I knew the Bigfoots were there, and I was basically trying to connect with either spirits or Bigfoots. Dogman wasn't even on my radar at that time, because I had never heard of a Dogman experience there until we had ours. Now, getting back to the photographs, we put all our photographs up on our site for anyone to look at, because we know we're working guys. We don't have TV grade equipment, right? So we figure there's people out there that have much better equipment that could go through our stuff. So a guy contacts me from California, and he says, "Hey, Al, you know that picture you took of that stone wall?" And I'm like, "Yeah." He goes, "We got a Dogman in that picture." And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" He goes, "I'll send it to you." So he sends me the photographs, and you can see a squared off snout, like a pit bull, all right, with a black nose, 2 eye shines, and 2 pointed ears, like they're cropped, okay, sniffing our scent over the wall. We didn't see it with any other of our cameras. I took one photograph of that stone wall before we went over, and I caught it. So when he sent me that photograph, I said, "Oh, this is Photoshopped for sure." I went to my camera, pulled out the SD card, put it in the computer, and sure as, shit, there it was. And I don't know how we never seen it. In our evidence review, we must have reviewed those photographs 100 times, and there's like 6 or 8 of us, fresh eyes, and no one noticed it. No one noticed the eye shine. Nobody noticed the nose or the square snout or the pointed ears. So then the same guy reaches back out to me a week later, and he says, "Hey, when you guys were in the meadow, you caught a picture of a Bigfoot." And I was like, "What are you talking about?" And he goes, "I'll send it to you." He sends me a picture, and there underneath this one little tiny red maple tree, right? It's a little red maple tree, but it's only like maybe 4 feet high. It's the only tree in the woods that have leaves on it, is a Sasquatch. And it looks like, to me, he's belly crawled up, and he's like this up on his forearms, watching us in the meadow. Now, that particular night, I was taking photographs in a 360 all night long with my camera, okay? And, again, we did the Tibetan Singing Bowl when we got there too, And when we went to the evidence review, there were hundreds of orbs in these photos. They're all different colors and with faces in them. And we were so fixate on those orbs every time we looked at the picture. No one seen the Sasquatch underneath the tree looking at us. But this guy did. And again, when he sent me the photograph, I thought it was Photoshopped. I went to my SD card, pulled it out, got to that picture, and there it was, the whole time watching us. And it's unbelievable. And I think the reason why this creature was watching us was, I think it had something to do with the orbs that were surrounding us. And it may have been some kind of Native American ceremony going on around us, because I caught all these different orbs. I mean, it was just, and it maybe not. Maybe it was just the veil was opened and everything was coming through, and it could see it, and it was there watching. We couldn't see it. We were just taking photographs, and we sure as didn't see him hiding underneath that one little red maple tree that's was 3 feet high.
Now, do you still have those pictures?
Absolutely. Yeah,
Do you mind
absolutely.
sending them to me?
Oh, I will definitely send them to you.
Yeah, I'll
Absolutely.
get those put up on the blog and online. Everybody can go have a look at them.
Yeah, absolutely. I will send them to you. Absolutely. And, that experience. And then it was like I would say maybe a month later. No, I think it was in the summer. Yeah, it was definitely in the summer. So that was in October. Say the following July. Okay, June, July. It had to be July. It was pretty hot out. I felt like I was being pulled back to that location, but I was being pulled to the swamp that was below us, not the ridge that we were on. And I said, okay, I told Brian and I told Bill, I said, listen, I'm going back. I'm being pulled. I got to go back. I don't know what's pulling me, but I got to go back. I said, if you guys don't want to come, because, we got bluff charged that night. It was very scary. We could have all died. And I'm sure that creature could have killed all three of us without, blinking its eye. I said, that's fine, but I'm going back. And Brian's like, no, you're not going without me. And Bill says, no, I'm coming too. So I said, okay, but if you guys come, don't pull me in different directions because I want to go here. I'm focused to go here. So they're like, okay, we won't pull you off the beaten path. Let's go. So we go, and it's a hot day, man. It's a hot day. And it's a 4-mile hike in, and it's hot. And then we're sweating. And we're getting closer and closer to the swamp. And I swear to God, I don't know if it was a Bigfoot doing it to me or a dog man doing it to me. Whatever was pulling me to the swamp, I believe something was trying to stop me from getting there. Because I must have got hit with infrasound because my body overheated. I swear to God, I felt like I was on fire. I was sweating profusely. Bill was freaking out. He's like, Al, we got to go back. We're too far in. We're too deep in to carry you out of here. This is a goat trail. We can't carry you over these rocks and everything. We got to go back. And Brian's like, I got some fresh fruit in my bag. She has some oranges, And I said, no, I'm not going back. I'm not going. I can literally see the swamp from where I'm at. There is no way I'm not making it there. I'm so close. There's no way in God's green earth I'm turning around. I don't know what's trying to stop me from getting there, but I'm going there. So about 20 minutes go by, the feeling goes away, the overheating goes away. I'm drinking some water, poured some water over my head, and this, that, and the other thing. And we go to the swamp, and we make it to the swamp. 3 guys who pretty much know what we're looking for. We're walking around for a solid half hour, and we don't see anything. There's nothing here. What were you being pulled here for? I don't know. I hear a little voice in the back of my head says, jump on this big rock. So I jump on this big giant stone, and in front of me are cattails 12 feet high. I take my walking stick, and the little voice says, take your walking stick and move the cattails. I move the cattails, and there's a trackway right down the swamp. So now Brian jumps up, Bill jumps up, and we're filming. And Bill's filming, and he says, man, there's a den in the middle of this swamp. There's a den. So he zooms in, and it looks like there's something in there, but we can't see. So he jumps off the rock, and he decides he's going to walk in the swamp and get closer. Well, first step in, he sinks down to his knees, and Brian and I have to yank him out of the mud, And Brian says, we'll get a drone, and we'll fly it in, And now all of a sudden, it's like the veil has been lifted from our eyes. There's bends, there's breaks, there's archways, there's X's, there's scat on the floor. I hear a little voice in my head that says, get up on that ridge there, the northern ridge, and look down into the swamp. I go to that northern ridge, and there's a trackway coming out of the back of the den, straight down the middle of the swamp to the other side of the swamp. And we find this thing that looks like a corral. It looks like something built a corral in the middle of the woods. The only thing I could think of is that it was using this corral to herd the deer in, to chase the deer in there, and then ambush them once they get into the corral, because it was like a natural corral, but it wasn't. It didn't happen naturally. Somebody built it, but who's going to build a corral in the middle of the woods? You know what I mean? Out of down trees. And so then we go back to Bill's house to review the evidence. We get back to Bill's house. He's got a 60-inch screen TV, and we're looking at, he's zooming in at the den, and there's this giant canine head looking to the south. Looks like, you know, everybody says a German Shepherd. It looked like a wolf's head to me. Okay, big. I mean, big. Looking to the south. And then right next to it is something that looks like a hyena snarling at us. It's growling at us like it doesn't want us there. Now, this is the creature that I believe bluff charged us that night. Okay? Because it's got the squared off snout and it looks like almost hyena-ish, and it's growling at us. And next to it is this thing, again, hand to God, that looks like the creature from the Black Lagoon. I don't know if it's alien. I don't know if it's cryptid. I don't know what it is. So now we're looking at these three things and we're freaking out like, what the hell is in this den, you know? And Bill's mom happens to come into the house, into the room we're working in. And what's Brian say?
You're going to see the UFO video. It's on our YouTube channel.
And Bill's mom comes into the room we're working in, and she's got coffee and cake and everything, right? So she has a cup of coffee, have some cake, and she says, what are those little monkeys doing in the picture? What monkeys, Mom? Those two right there. And this thing that looks like the creature from the Black Lagoon is holding looks like two little Sasquatches by the hands, all in this one den. And this is why I was being drawn to that den that day, to find this den, to find these creatures. And I think that's the reason why that creature bluff charges. It may have had pups in that den that night, and we were way too close, you know? And I think that's why the Bigfoot tried to shoo us out of there, saying, you guys are in danger. You guys better come back to the other side of the lake, you know? And yeah. And then that leads on to my dogman experiences, but that's, that's for another day. You know what I mean? But,
yeah, we're already at an hour again.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. Yeah.
I know that you've got more. So, I mean, it's an open invitation, man. When you want to come back, well, I'll have you back and we'll talk some more.
Yeah, and that leads directly into my dogman experiences and stuff. So, just crazy stuff. Just absolutely. I know people hear me tell this experience and they call BS on it. And I understand, because if you didn't live it, you wouldn't believe it. But I was lucky enough to have two other witnesses with me, and they can validate it.
Yeah, one of those witnesses is here. Everyone in the chat has noticed Brian commenting here and there tonight. And I actually got a chance. Al introduced me to Brian over Facebook and been chatting with him a little bit. And Brian's going to be coming on and doing an interview here soon. So I'm sure he'll be able to back up a lot of what you're saying, I'm sure. So y'all be looking for that one.
Yeah, and I'll send you those photographs too, and you'll see them. It's, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know why we didn't see them, but when I send them to you, you'll see them. It's clear as day what's there, And like I said, if there's any questions before you want to leave, you want to shoot me some questions, or real quick, if there's anything, I'm open to taking any questions on anything.
Not seeing any.
No, okay, that's fine.
Okay, yeah, man. Well, I have a feeling we'll stay in touch and we'll set something else up and we'll get you back on, man. I appreciate you coming in and spending an hour hanging out with me.
Yeah, absolutely, no problem. Absolutely, it's my pleasure. It really is.
All right, buddy. We'll talk soon. Okay.
Okay, take it easy.
Be good.
Ciao.
All right, guys, there you have it. Another good one from Al. Yeah, Al is quickly becoming one of my favorite guests, and I'm looking forward to having his partner Brian come on and share some of his experiences. All right, everybody that hung out with us tonight, I certainly appreciate it. Always do. Love getting on here and seeing how many of you guys are on and talking, and I appreciate all the support, guys. I really do. All right, guys, time to get out of here. I appreciate everything everyone is doing, all the continued support. Guys, check out Paranormal Odyssey podcast on all of the podcatchers, Spotify, Apple, Google, Audible, all of them. You can find the podcast over there. Yeah, guys. Again, thank you for hanging out with me. Hope everyone will be safe, be good to each other, and we'll catch you later.